I don't know how to explain what happened to me that no one believes me. I wouldn't believe me either if I hadn't been there, if I hadn't seen them. But I did, and now I think they're coming for me. This all started with a simple mistake. I was driving cross country, nothing unusual. Long highways, empty fields, occasional small towns where nothing much ever happened. I was used to driving alone, used to the silence, the endless road ahead, the radio static when I got too far from a signal. I was heading toward a city, trying to make good time. But then a storm rolled in, a thick, suffocating fog that swallowed the road whole. My GPS went out. My phone had no service. The only thing ahead of me was a narrow, winding road that hadn't been on my map, that I should have turned back. Instead, I took it. The road twisted through dense forest, the trees towering overhead like silent watchers. It felt wrong, like I was stepping into someplace I shouldn't be. But I kept driving, and before I knew it, I was there. A town. Small, quiet, with old wooden houses and cobblestone streets that it wasn't on my map, but it looked normal. At first, I pulled into what looked like a town square. There were a few parked cars, old models, some covered in dust, as if they hadn't moved in years. A few people were out on the streets, watching me, not openly staring, just too aware, like they weren't used to strangers. A man stepped forward, smiling. He looked normal enough, dressed plainly, friendly eyes, a little too eager to greet me. "Welcome," he said. "You must be passing through. You should stay the night. It gets dark fast around here." That should have been my first warning. The sky was already dimming, the sun barely visible through the thick clouds. I hadn't realized how late it had gotten. I asked if there was a place to stay, and the man, his name was Mr. Albright, gestured toward a small inn. "It's the only place in town," he said. "You'll be safe there." Safe? Why would I need to be safe? I shook off the unease and went inside. The inn was old, but well kept. The woman at the desk greeted me with that same too friendly smile. I paid in cash. She wouldn't take a card, and took the key. "Lock your door," she said, almost offhand, "and close the curtains." I asked why. She just smiled. I should have left. I should have turned around, gotten in my car, and driven out, but the sun had set. And the moment it disappeared, the town changed. First, it was silent. Unnaturally so. No wind, no crickets, no distant voices. Just emptiness. I was exhausted from the drive, so I locked the door, closed the curtains, and laid down. But I couldn't sleep, because then I heard it. A scraping sound just outside my window. Slow, deliberate. Something was moving outside. I got up, heart pounding, and inched toward the window. I told myself not to look, but I did. I pulled the curtain aside just an inch, and I saw them. The people from earlier. They weren't people anymore. Their limbs were too long, their backs hunched, their faces split open in wide, unnatural grins. They moved in jerks and spasms, like puppets with their strings cut, and they were watching me. I stumbled back, hand over my mouth to keep from screaming. My heart pounded so hard I thought they'd hear it. Then, one of them tilted its head, and it smiled wider. I dove back into bed, pulling the covers over me like a child hiding from a nightmare. I didn't sleep. I just lay there, listening to them scraping, whispering, waiting. And then, just before dawn, they were gone, like they had never been there at all. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in bed, waiting for the sun, waiting for the nightmare outside my window to end. And when dawn finally came, I dared to look outside again. The town was normal. The streets were empty, bathed in early morning light. The buildings stood exactly as they had before. There were no claw marks, no twisted figures lingering in the shadows. The people were back, smiling, greeting each other, opening their shops like nothing had happened, like I had imagined all of it. That I wanted to believe that. I really did, but I knew better. I packed my bag in record time. I didn't care about breakfast. I didn't care about politeness. I just wanted to get out. The woman at the front desk greeted me with that same smile as I handed her my key. "Leaving already?" she asked. That I forced a laugh. "Yeah, just passing through." Her smile didn't falter, but she didn't blink either. "Be careful," she said. "The roads can be tricky." I nodded, pretending not to hear the warning in her voice. And then I got in my car and drove. That I didn't look back. I just focused on the road ahead, pressing the gas harder than I should have. The town disappeared in my rearview mirror, and I felt a wave of relief wash over me. It was over. I was safe. Until I wasn't, because after 20 minutes of driving, I saw something impossible. I was back in the town square. I slammed on the brakes, my heart hammering in my chest. No, this wasn't right. I had driven straight. I had followed the only road out. But here I was, back where I started. I turned around, drove again, faster. The road twisted through the trees, winding endlessly, but I never passed a turn or an intersection. Just trees. Miles and miles of trees. And then the town was ahead of me again. I nearly screamed. I parked the car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. I checked my phone. No signal. I checked my gas gauge. Half a tank. I could try again. I could keep driving. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe a knock on my window. I jumped. Mr. Albright was standing outside my car, smiling that same smile. "Looks like you got turned around," he said. I stared at him. "How?" "You should rest," he said, ignoring my question. "You look tired. It's almost evening." I glanced at the sky. He was right. The sun was already sinking, painting the sky in gold and crimson. Had I really been driving that long? Panic crawled up my throat. I had to get out. I threw the car into reverse, but he grabbed the door handle. "You don't want to be out here after dark," he said softly. His fingers were too long. I locked the doors, slammed my foot on the gas, and sped away, not caring where I went. As long as it was far from him, I didn't get far, because the moment the sun dipped below the horizon, the world around me changed. The trees shifted, their shadows stretching unnaturally. The road disappeared, dissolving into cracked stone. The sky darkened too fast, as if someone had flipped a switch, and the whispers started again. Only this time, they were closer. I hit the brakes. My headlights flickered, barely illuminating the road ahead. Then, something moved in the beams of light. A figure. No, several figures. They twitched and jerked, their limbs bending the wrong way. Their eyes, those empty, gaping holes, locked onto me. I threw the car into reverse, tires screeching, but something slammed into the roof. I felt the weight of it above me, heard the scratching of nails against the metal. Then, a face lowered itself against my windshield. It was Mr. Albright. Or what used to be him. His jaw unhinged like a snake, his skin splitting open to reveal rows of needle-like teeth. And he smiled. I screamed. The thing crawled down the hood of my car, moving in quick, unnatural jerks. I threw the car into drive, but the engine sputtered and died. No, the headlights flickered again, and suddenly they were everywhere. The people, the things, dozens of them, surrounding me, and every single one of them was smiling. I didn't think. I acted. I threw the door open and ran. The air was thick, pressing against me like something alive. My lungs burned, my legs ached, but I didn't stop. I couldn't, because they were right behind me. I didn't dare look back, but I could hear them, their skittering limbs, their inhuman breaths, their laughter. God, they were laughing that I ducked into an alley, heart hammering that I had to hide. There, a door, slightly ajar. I shoved it open and threw myself inside. The room was dark, dust dancing in the air. It smelled wrong, like damp wood, and something rotting that I forced my breathing to slow. I listened, silence. Had I lost them? I took a step forward, and my foot hit something solid that I looked down, and my blood ran cold that a body that I know, not just one, there were several, dried husks, emptied of everything inside. Faces frozen in expressions of pure terror. Some of them were still fresh that I staggered back, my stomach lurching. And that's when I noticed something else, something worse. The bodies, they all wore modern clothes, a backpack with a university logo, a jacket with a company ID clipped to it. Travelers, people like me. They had been here before, and they had never left. My had spun. I had to get out. Now that I turned, and the door was gone, just a solid wall of rotting wood. I wasn't in the room alone anymore. Something moved in the darkness. A voice, whispering my name. I turned, pulse pounding, and then I saw her, the innkeeper, except now, she wasn't even trying to look human. Her smile was too wide. Her eyes bottomless pits of blackness. You weren't supposed to see that, she said. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. She tilted her head, her bones cracking with emotion. But don't worry, she whispered. You'll stay. Everyone stays. I ran. I didn't care how, I just ran. The house twisted around me, the walls breathing, the floor shifting under my feet. A door appeared ahead. I lunged for it and stumbled back onto the street. But the town was different now. The buildings warped, stretching like melting wax. The sky was wrong, a swirling black void, pulsing like something alive. And the people, the things wearing their skins, stood in a perfect circle, waiting for me. Smiling. I turned, and Mr. Albright was right there. His hand closed around my wrist, and then I wasn't in the town anymore. I woke up in my car. The sun was rising. The town was gone. Just an empty road stretching ahead. I checked my phone, full battery, full signal. My GPS worked again. It was like it had never happened. But I know the truth. Because when I looked at my reflection in the rearview mirror, I was smiling. If you made it this far, tell me in the comments, would you stay in this town for a night? Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications unless you don't want to wake up in your own bed. End screen with more horror video recommendations.